ॐ शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Okay, start. Okay, so last time we were having a look at Kurma Purana, right? So Kurma Purana, few things are remaining from Kurma Purana, so we'll look at that. So last time, if you remember, we had we were looking at the Gayatri Mantra. I told you I'll tell you about that table. So maybe not today, we will look at that in the next session. Today we will continue looking at the Kurma Purana, the details, the concluding part. Okay, let's start. So towards the end of Kurma Purana, if you see a few vratas, a few religious observances have been mentioned. So, and a few sins, or in our everyday life also, the different activities that we do, by following all that or by not following all that properly, a few sins are committed. So what are that? So mainly it is said that a person who kills a brahmana, that is a learned person, one who drinks wine, alcohol, or steals gold again from a brahmana, that is basically in those times you had Hiranyadanam that was given. Hiranyadanam is gold that was given in the form of donation. Even today also, if you see, for a few occasions we give gold as donation, but in today's times, of course, the quantity will be very less that we give, maybe small dot or something we give, right? But still Hiranyam, that is what is said, or you can say Suvarnadanam, that has a very important place in the list of donations that are mentioned. So a person who kills a Brahman, who drinks wine, or who even steals gold that has been given to a Brahmana, for him the only penance is he has to kill himself. So literally, if you see killing himself, so that literally means that there is no way at all, there is no prayashchitam at all, the person has to give up his own life. So this is the amount of sin, or you can say a very grave sin, that is committed by doing these actions. Then further, like this, like fast unto death, this and that. So these people, that is especially a brahmana or a learned person, should be respected a lot. Now please again note that brahmana we must not correlate to, like today we related to the caste Brahmin, right? It is not at all like that. A learned person, that is one's own guru, should be given respect. That is what is the significance of a brahmana here. Further, religious vrata has been given. First is the Santapana. There is a Santapana vrata. Now all these vratas usually are done for committing sins. Now all of us, we commit sins. Mostly sins are unknowingly we commit. Some we know, like no one will mostly say that no, I know I'm doing it wrong, but still I do it, right? That is in very rare cases that we know what we are doing is wrong, but still we end up doing that. So, but most of the times what happens is that unknowingly, or maybe depending on the situation, we would have done a few sins, right? So that is for that a lot of vratas have been observed. So all this comes as a part of prayashchitta, that is there. So first is, now all this you can just listen, whatever has been mentioned in the Kurma Purana, I'm telling you as it is. How far we can actually follow all this in today's life, that depends. Now Santapana is the first form of sin, first form of vrata, that has to be done. It says that one whole day we must live on just cow products, you can say milk products of cow, that is cow urine, cow dung, cow milk, curds, then clarified butter, that is ghee from cow's milk. So this is, you spend one whole day consuming just products that we get from a cow, and the next day should be complete fasting. So this is one vrata that is done by few people. Next is Mahasantapana. This was Santapana. Now this is a more, you can say, a severe version of the earlier vrata. In this, now this this consuming of 5 products from the cow, that was done only for 1 day. But the Mahasantapana Vrata should be done for about 6 days, and on each of the days you should have only the cow products that should be consumed, cow urine, cow dung, milk, curds and everything, and the 7th day would be full fasting. Next is Prajapatya. Prajapatya is you can eat only during the daytime, and then night time would be full complete fasting. Next is Atikricha. Atikricha is again a severe version of the earlier Vrata. That means only a single handful of rice can be eaten. Now usually when we put rice, we don't see the quantity, right? Now usually in today's times, even today if you go to certain temples, I think maybe not much today, but even if you go to Udupi or temples like that, wherein we have Annadanam that is given, they give you food. So usually you see people when they serve rice, they will, in certain places you see they will put only from their hand, right? We find this very unhygienic today, or even at home also we don't use our hand to put anything, right? But in the case of rice, it should be put, originally it should be put only with our hand that is there. So today mostly we use maybe spoons, ladles, plates also. Like in temples like Udupi and all, if you go, I think they use plates to put. But traditionally what is followed is handful of rice. That's how the term has come, handful. Means you put your hand in the vessel, and that's how we must offer food. But then in today's times that seems to be a bit unhygienic, putting our hands in. But then that was what has been followed. So in this next vrata that I told you, Atikricha. Atikricha is just a single handful of rice must be consumed during daytime. Night time would be complete fasting. So like this, different vratas have been mentioned here. Further, it is said that there are other forms of penance also that have been mentioned by the Kurma Purana. So mainly Kurma Purana deals with a lot of vratas, different anushtanas that we have to follow. Especially it is like a prayashchitta grantha for different sins that we do, the different prayashchittas that can be done. So that is what the Kurma Purana mentions. Next, we see that other now little bit reference comes to the story of Ramayana. Now Ravana, he disguised himself to abduct Sita, and it is said that at that time, now this is quite similar to the Maya Sita that I think those who have attended the Ramayana lectures, you will know that last week we were discussing about this, wherein the Sita who was taken away by Ravana was not the original Sita, she was a Maya Sita who was given away to Agni Bhagwan. So this reference here comes in the Ramcharitmanas also we have the reference, it also has got reference in the Kurma Purana. But here it's you can say a different version of this. So here it is said that Ravana, he disguised himself as a hermit, he comes to abduct Sita. But Sita, it is said that she got to know of Ravana's plan, and that's when she prayed to the god of fire, that is Agni Bhagwan, and thus Agni appeared and he made a Maya Sita, that is Sita made of illusion, and he left this Maya Sita, he took the real Sita away with him. Now then the further story we know, Ravana, he abducted this Maya Sita, and then the entire war was fought and she lived for 10 months in Ravana's palace and so on. Then even the Agni Pariksha incident that has been done, that was also, some people say that, or you can consider that to be true, that incident was also done, or the Agni Pariksha was very much needed, not to test the purity of Sita, but to get back the original Sita from Agni Bhagwan. So this was the reason why Rama did the Agni Pariksha. So today when we sit and question why Rama did the Agni Pariksha, is it not injustice and so on. So there Rama, he cannot reveal this the Maya Sita incident to everyone. So that's the reason he says that to test the purity of Sita, Agni itself is considered as a sign of purity. That's the reason why we use Agni and fire for all our different rituals, right? Be it marriage or anything, we always need a fire in front of us. So that's how when people come and question regarding what Rama did, was it right or so, we don't know about this background story. Though it is not there in the Valmiki Ramayana, we have different references. Ramcharitmanas, I think Sanjeevji you have checked out, right? You had the... Yeah. And also in the Kurma Purana, now we have the reference of this Maya Sita. So this story is also mentioned here in the Kurma Purana. So thus the real lover Sita, she was never touched by Ravana. If Ravana had touched the real Sita, he would have been burnt there only. Such was the power of the goddess. She is a goddess of the entire world, a form of Shakti. No one can come and just pick up and abduct her and go away. Okay. Next is you have the story of Shiva and Brahma. So now Brahma, if you see a little bit, sometimes you see him, like you can say losing his mind or doing a few things that are not very good. Maybe like for example, we know the fight that happened between Brahma and Vishnu. They had the argument, knowing the end of where the Shivalinga is, and so on. So and that's the reason why Brahma does not have a temple, only one temple in Pushkar, Rajasthan. So like this, many years ago, he lost his mind in between, and he began to imagine that he was superior to both Shiva as well as Vishnu. And he told all the sages, everyone, that I am the supreme. There is no one else, no Shiva, no Vishnu, nothing, only me. Now next, while Brahma was saying all this to the sages, Vishnu, he came there and he got very angry. He said that you are ignorant. He comes and he tells that you're the creator, I am the one who preserves everything, and Shiva is known for destruction. So all three of us, we say Trimurti, right? That is all three gods, they are all equal, we have all got equal powers. So you should not just go about and say that you are only superior, and even though you say that, you are putting the other two down, that Vishnu and Shiva are not great, only I am superior. If you say this, it develops a very bad image in the minds of others, so you please do not do this. But Brahma he did not agree, right? But they kept on arguing, both Brahma and Vishnu, they were just arguing regarding the 4 Vedas, and then what came, did the Vedas come first or did something come first, and so on. So like this, they all kept arguing, and this was that time wherein all the 4 Vedas were in the form of gods, not just in the form of books that were there. So therefore they also came in and they tried to persuade both Brahma and Vishnu that Shiva is superior. So you see now, there is a difference of opinion everywhere. The 4 Vedas have come in human form. They are saying that Shiva is the superior, not both of you. Vishnu is saying that no, I am the preserver, so I should be the one. You just create and go away. Only creation is not enough. Preservation and maintenance is equally important. Brahma says that no, I am only the one. If only I create, then you can preserve. So I should be superior. So like this, a lot of difference developed, and they kept on arguing. But then when the Vedas, they came and told that Shiva was superior to both of you, Vishnu to some extent he agreed to this, but Brahma could not. Now while all this was, he told the Vedas that, he asked the Vedas that how can Shiva be superior? He is always wandering with ghosts, Bhutaganas, living in Kailasa, is always a Smashanavasi, all of Vibhuti and Bhasma all around, wearing a garland of skeletons. How can he even be, so you can say, so unpleasant to even look at? How can he be superior? You tell that Vishnu is superior, at least I can agree, one person do that, but not at all with regards to Shiva. Now while all this was going on, Brahma, he was almost come to that place when he was about to insult Shiva. So at that time Shiva gets very angry. He created a being, that's how we have the Kala Bhairava, from his own body, and this Kala Bhairava, he started to fight with Brahma. I think a few of you should be familiar with Kala Bhairava Ashtakam. देवराज सेव्यमान पावनांग्रि पंकजं व्यालयज्ञ सूत्रमिन्दुशेखरं कृपाकरं नारदादि योगि वृन्दवन्दितं दिगंबरं काशिकापुरादिनाथ कालभैरवं भजे. Anyone knows Kalabhairavashtakam?
Yes, Lakshmi. We know. Yeah.
That is very, very important. Mostly everyone should get it by hearted. So by hearted is very easy to get it by hearted. And then in the second verse of Kalabhairavashtakam, it's Bhuta Sanganayakam Vishalakirtidayakam Kashivasaloka Punyapapashodhakam Vibhum Niti Marga Kovidam Puratanam Jagadgurum Kashika Puradinatha Kalabhairavam Bhaje. Bhuta Sanganayakam, there itself it is mentioned, all Bhutaganas all around. So like this, all the 8 verses are there. So this Kalabhairava form of Shiva started fighting with Brahma, and as a result Brahma's head got cut in Kalabhairava's palm. So this is the 5th head of Brahma, and this is how Shiva got the dosha of cutting the 5th head of Brahma. So this is that story. If you remember in the temple tour or somewhere also, we had seen the story, right, wherein we have a specific temple in South India where Shiva goes to wash his hand. Does anyone remember that? Those who attended those sessions, you might remember. And I think in the Vishnu Sahasranama also it has come in, wherein the 5th head of Brahma was cut by Shiva. Shiva had incurred a sin of killing one of the gods, that to a Brahmana called Brahma. So that's where he goes and he washes his hands, takes a bath in a particular pond. I don't remember the name of the temple now. That temple is still there in South India. There.
Harashapa Vimochana, I think.
Yes. What is the name?
Harashapa.
Harashapa Vimochana. Correct. Chandrika ji, thank you. Harashapa Vimochana temple. That's when Haraha, Lord Shiva, his curse. So he had incurred this curse of killing Brahma. Killing is severing or cutting off the fifth head of Brahma. So that is, this temple is there even in South India. And today, if you go to South India, in this temple, all Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, all the Trimurtis, they are worshipped here to show again the equality between gods. So then this is how Brahma's fifth head was cut off by, and Kalabhairava's full arm, the fifth head, it got stuck to the palm of Kalabhairava. So he had to remove that, and that's how he went. He roamed all about the world with his head here for 1,000 years or so. And eventually at that time, now in the Kurma Purana you have a different version to this. At that time it is said that Vishnu told Kalabhairava, you go to Varanasi, you go to Kashi, and that's where all your problems, all this head also will go away. And as soon as Kalabhairava arrived at the city of Varanasi, the head got cut off. A place of pilgrimage, and the exact spot where this happened, that is called the Kapala Mochana Tirtha. Even today if you go to Varanasi, Kapala means head. Mochana Tirtha, that's where the Kapalam, the head from Shiva's palm, that got separated. So like this, there are many tirthas that the Kurma Purana describes. Now you might have a doubt that I told you about a temple, that is a Harashapa Vimochana temple, that's there in Tamil Nadu. But then here we have the story that Kalabhairava went to Varanasi and happened. So here we have just a tirtha, the reference of a tirtha. There it is mentioned that Shiva himself came, so there a temple has been built in. So now nobody has seen where Shiva went actually, but then some people might have a belief that Shiva came here. Some might say that no, he went to Varanasi. Now the Kurma Purana, now if you see right from the beginning, Kurma Purana is stressing on Varanasi alone. It keeps on talking about Varanasi. So maybe that is the reason it would have included Varanasi, and in Varanasi we have the place Kalabhairava temple also. So that can also be one of the reasons why it has been mentioned, or it can be glorified. So like this, a few differences do come in, but then both of the places you can consider. And that's how we have the Kalabhairava temple even today in Kashi. The other tirthas that are Prayaga, Kurukshetra, Gaya, Madhuvana is Mathura. So then glory of Narmada river is also mentioned to some extent in the Kurma Purana. Waters of Saraswati, it is said that they purify a sinner after 3 days of bathing. Continuously if you bathe for 3 days in the Saraswati river, today no longer the river Saraswati flows through India, but earlier it was believed that if you take a bath in the river Saraswati for continuous 3 days, all our sins will go away. Next is in the Yamuna, if you take a dip, it takes an entire week for the sins to go away. Whereas the mere touch of a drop of the river Ganga purifies a sinner. That's why all of us, we bring Ganga Jalam to our houses, right? We must always have Ganga Jalam in our houses. So even a drop of Ganga Jalam purifies a sinner immediately. But for the sake of Narmada, just the sight of the water alone, if you just see even the river Narmada, all our sins are washed away. That is the reason why we have the Narmada Parikrama. If we don't have the Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Godavari Parikrama, we have the Narmada Parikrama. You don't even need to go and take a dip in the Narmada. If you do the Narmada Parikrama, that alone is enough for all our sins to go away. So there is a reason behind everything why Narmada Parikrama is done. I think a few people would have done. Sanjeev ji, I know. Anyone else? No. Sanjeev ji, during the Narmada Parikrama, do you also take a dip in the river? You do, right? All the places. Huh? So, and in that Parikrama you have temples that are there?
Yes.
Okay.
All the temples are there. There you find all Shiva temples there.
Huh.
Ugamstan, there is that Amarkantan where the Ganga originated. And now it is found that it is originated about 800 before that temple. So we cross at the temple, we go 800 ahead. Make a U-turn and then. So that is where it is found outside the land.
Okay.
But when it is found that the river is going that way,
It is. Okay. So this is how the Narmada Parikrama is also done. So Saraswati 3 days of bathing, Yamuna 1 entire week, a mere drop of Ganga, and just the sight of Narmada purifies a sinner. Then you have the story of Nandi. Next story towards the end of Kurma Purana is the story of Nandi. Now there was a sage called Shilada. He was very learned, and but he wanted a son, and for that reason he started praying to Lord Shiva. For thousands of years he did tapasya. Shiva finally comes in front of him. He asks, "What boon do you want?" He says, "I want a boon, but that a son should be born to me, but he should not be born from a mother, and my son should be immortal." So this is the condition that Shilada had kept. Shiva granted the boon. So that is mainly Shilada. He did not want to marry someone and then beget a son. It was just normally that maybe like how Sita was born. Similarly, Shilada also. One day when he was plowing the land, at that time a handsome boy he appeared, and that's how Shilada started addressing this boy as his own son. The son also, like his father, learned all the Shastras. He was very learned, and he was given the name of Nandi. Now this Nandi, this boy, he also wished to see Shiva, and he also wished to become immortal. And therefore he went to the banks of an ocean, and he also started to do tough tapasya. And he chanted the mantra that was there for about 1 crore times. Shiva finally appeared and he wished to grant a boon. Nandi said that you grant me so much of life that the mantra that I have been chanting for about 1 crore times, I should be able to chant. You give me so much lifetime or so much of life period that I should be able to chant this mantra 1 more crore times. That is in all 2 crores. So Shiva appeared once again, and so like this had happened. The second time also he finished 1 crore. Shiva appeared in front of him. Again Nandi asked for the same boon, that again I want to chant this mantra for 1 crore times. When this had happened 3 times, Shiva he comes and says that now enough. There is no need for chanting any more of this mantras. I will make you immortal. I will also make you one of the Ganas, that is a Ganapati, and you will always be my constant companion. And the place where this Nandi he chanted this mantra, it has become famous as Japyeshwara Tirtha. I think this is also there in the city of Kashi. And the Maruts that we have Marut. Marut is Vayu. How we have the 12 Adityas, 11 Rudras and so on. Like this we have Maruts. I think there are about 48 of them or so. So Maruts, they had a daughter called Suyasha, and Shiva he arranged the marriage of Nandi and Suyasha together. Now this Nandi is different from the Vahana of Shiva. That Nandi is different. This is another Nandi that has been told. Now towards the end of the Kurma Purana, we see that with this story Vishnu completes his recital of the Kurma Purana. All the sages, everyone was very happy. They sung his praise. It is very, very sacred. It is said that a person who reads the Kurma Purana attains Brahmaloka, the realm of Brahma. A person who reads only 1 chapter, all his sins will be forgiven. The one who donates this Purana in the months of Vaishaka and Kartika, that is now in the month of May as well as in the month of Kartik, it is very, very sacred to Brahmanas. Brahmanas is people who will actually read this Purana, not just keep it in the cupboard. And a part of this Purana called the Brahmi Samhita, that is very, very important of this Purana. It should never be read or recited, it is said, in the presence of those who are not interested. Because nobody should forcefully listen to this Purana. Only out of interest, someone should come, read, study it, etc. Then, with this, the Kurma Purana ends in. So this is a few stories from the Kurma Purana. So Kurma Purana, you would have seen that many small stories have been mentioned in that. A lot of information about different things. So you cannot find a connection as such between one incident and the next. You will have small stories with regards to the Kurma Purana. Okay. So with this we will complete the Kurma Purana. We start with the next Purana. Did everyone understand Kurma Purana? I hope you have got an idea.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Ma'am, donating the Puranas, you mentioned in the last class or the last before class.
Yes.
Can you please send it on the message whenever you have a minute, because
Acha,
I'm
in
not
the
able
months,
to-
huh?
yeah.
Okay, sure, I'll do.
Thank you.
Okay. So till now I think we have seen 4 Puranas: Brahma, Vishnu, Matsya and Kurma, right? Okay, continue. Next, we look at the Varaha Purana. Now Varaha Purana, in all consists of about 11 sections that are there. Mainly it talks about the Varaha Purana, that is the rescuing of Mother Earth in the form of Vishnu incarnating as a Varaha, that is a wild boar. In short, I'll tell you the contents of it and then we'll look at the entire Purana. So firstly it starts, Goddess Earth starts praying to Lord Narayana, that is the main gist, or you can say the first chapter. Then tale of creation. Now the story of creation is mostly common in all the Puranas. Origin of Rudra, Sanat Kumara, sage Maricha and so on. Tale of Priyavrata, that is Dhruva's ancestors. Dashavatara. Then Dharmavyadha. Dharmavyadha is the fight for dharma or righteousness. Then a bit of Shraddha Karma reference we have. Then the origin of Agni. Then greatness of particular days like auspicious occasions, and when we celebrate a few festivals or some speciality that has been mentioned here. Then we have the story of Gauri, to some extent some reference to Gauri is given. Wedding of Lord Shiva and Parvati, Ganesha, Kartikeya, Aditya. All these tales have been given, have been mentioned in the Varaha Purana. Then we have the description of karma, also of Sanatana Dharma, methods of Vishnu worship in the evening time, how the Lord should be worshipped. Then 12 different kinds of crime that has been mentioned. Greatness of Krishna, Ganga, all Padrikashrama, Mathura Kshetra, Salagrama. So like this different descriptions have been mentioned. So with this we will start looking at each of these sections slowly. Now Lord Varaha, that is the third avatara as we say of Lord Vishnu, Varaha in the form of a boar, he enlightens Prithvi or goddess Earth. He makes her knowledgeable through different queries that she has. He makes her knowledgeable. Now as we know, Varaha, he had saved Prithvi from Rasatala, that is from the clutches of Hiranyaksha, the mighty demon. And after being rescued now, Prithvi was very happy. She was always smiling, and she asked Varaha that how does the process of creation begin? What happens exactly? What is dissolution? How do you take care of your whole creation? What happens in all the 4 yugas? How are they calculated? Why do you take an incarnation in every yuga? So all these questions, she says that it puzzles me a lot. I always get confused. So I request you to speak on each of these subjects. Now it is said that Lord Vishnu, he burst into laughter listening to all this. And when he burst into laughter, when he started laughing, he opened his mouth. And when he opened his mouth, all the different deities began to be visible to Prithvi. And she became so frightened. Now if someone opens their mouth, you just imagine a sight. Someone opens their mouth, what will we believe or what will we think? That we will not be able to see anything, right? A person's mouth should always be just open. Maybe you can see their tongue, teeth, nothing more than that. Or if someone is eating, maybe you can see what is there inside their mouth. Beyond that, nothing can be seen. But then if you see maybe a person or some animal creation here and there, obviously all of us, we are also going to be frightened. So this Prithvi, she starts trembling, she starts shivering. So at that time now Vishnu, he says that cool down, all these are my all these that you see inside my mouth, they are all my creation only, so you don't have to be afraid at all. Then he transformed, Lord Vishnu at that time then realized that she is getting too afraid, so then he transformed his form and revealed his divine form to Prithvi. Divine form of Lord Vishnu taking rest, that is the normal Vishnu, Shayana Mudra, sleeping form of Vishnu, sleeping on the Sheshanaga. And this form was extremely pleasant for the goddess to see, for goddess Prithvi to see. And she, with extreme devotion, she started praying to Lord Vishnu. And the Lord Vishnu was very pleased by her devotion and says that the answers to all the questions that you have asked, they are not that easy to understand. So you have to put in a lot of efforts, like all of us here also. In my case, I'm just telling you little what I know. But then in the case of Lord Vishnu, or people, different sages who have studied, or other scholars also who tell, they would have deeply studied the Puranas. And at times, now even I don't know how it happens in my case, a few things that I tell you also, maybe in a few places you cannot understand, right? In a few places you might have a few doubts. In that case, I assume that all of you would be asking immediately. But it doesn't happen that, or you forget about this class, whenever we read something also, it's not that from page 1 till page 100 we understand each and every word. A few things, maybe page 1 you read that you understand, page 2 and 3 you cannot understand a few things. But then still we keep moving, maybe we feel okay, when I read the next part, maybe I can make out what was told in page 2 and 3. So when you read page 4, 5, to some extent you can make out what was told before. So this was how the entire Puranas also are there, and Vishnu also tells that the answers to all the questions that you have asked, it is not that easy, but still I will try my best. So that's where he starts talking about creation. He says, first there was nothing, everything was just empty all around. Slowly different natural elements came in, like Shabda, that is sound, Akasha, sky, Vayu, air, Teja, light, and Jala, water. Then I created you, that is earth, to provide a base to all the living creatures. Then the combination of earth and water, it resulted into an egg, and I myself, I manifested as Narayana. And then a navel, out of my navel, on sitting on a lotus, Brahma comes in, and he started the process of creation. So like this, Mother Earth now, she requested Lord Varaha. She kept on asking more questions about creation. Now why was the curiosity of Mother Earth, or why did she keep on questioning Varaha with regards to creation? The reason being that she is the one who bears all our living creatures. So she wanted to know from where all this creation has come. So that's why she asks more questions with regards to creation. And Vishnu also gives an answer to all this. We have already seen about creation, so I'm not delving very deep. Only whatever new aspects have been told, I'll tell you that. So with this, at the end of every Kalpa, Narayana, Lord Vishnu says that he goes into Pralaya, that is into Yoga Nidra, and after waking up, the Pralaya starts in, and then again Brahma starts with new creation and so on. Then with this, some reference to Rudra is given. Rudra had manifested himself as Ardhanarishwara. At the request of Brahma, Rudra divided into two parts, that is Nara and Nari. That's how we have the creation of both man and woman. Now we have two references to this. In the case of Manu also we have Vaivaswata Manu and his wife Shatarupa. From both of them also creation has started, and also in the form of Ardhanarishwara, that is Vagarta Viva Sampraktau Vagarta Pratipattaye Jagatah Pitarau Vande Parvati Parameshwarau. Kalidasa mentions in his first verse, in the Mangalacharanam verse of Raghuvamsham, this verse, Jagatah Pitarau Vande Parvati Parameshwarau. The world's parents are Parvati and Parameshwara. So from that, how is the family tradition that has started. Finally, then next story. So you can basically consider that Varaha Purana is a conversation between Varaha and goddess Earth. In Swayambhuva Manu, next is a story of Priyavrata, that is Dhruva's ancestor. Priyavrata and Uttanapada, they are brothers. Uttanapada's son was Dhruva. So that's how now here we look at the story of Priyavrata. Now Uttanapada's story we know, Yettu, Vaisuruchi, Sumati, that's when Dhruva's story, he was thrown out, he did a lot of penance. This story we know. But the story of Priyavrata, that is very unique. So once it so happened that Swayambhuva Manu, he had two sons, Priyavrata, Uttanapada. He distributed his kingdom equally to both his sons, and he went to Badrikashrama to do penance. At that time, Narada, he paid a visit to the hermitage in Badrikashrama, and when he paid his visit to Badrikashrama, Manu had also gone to Badrikashrama. And here now he was surprised to see Priyavrata. So then Narada asks Priyavrata, why have you also come to Badrikashrama, that is your ashrama? Like you have kingly pleasures, your father has divided the kingdom, why have you come here? So Priyavrata says that I have finished all my kingdom, all the royal duties that I had to do. So finally I am also now on the last stage of my life. So I am also staying in this particular hermitage, doing penance and all that. So mainly I am living a retired life. So he respected, so Narada agreed and received Priyavrata. Priyavrata received Narada with great respect, and Priyavrata then requested Narada to narrate some interesting incidents. Narada then narrated an interesting incident with regards to what he saw while he was on his way to meet Priyavrata. So he told that I experienced a very amazing incident yesterday in Shweta Dvipa. Now all these Dvipas we have seen, Jambu Dvipa and all the other 6 Dvipas in the Vishnu Purana. So that's where he says that I saw an incident wherein while I was passing by a lake in Shweta Dvipa, I saw a woman standing at that bank. And I was surprised to see her standing there at such a lonely place. And for a moment, Narada says that the way she was standing there looking at her and so on, I lost control over all my senses. Uh, and I forgot completely that I'm a Devarishi and so on. I just got captivated by her beauty. But then he says the next minute what happened is that I became very worried and ashamed of my conduct, because of this I've lost all my yogic powers, my saintly qualities that were there in me, that by looking at a woman my lust came in, and that's how I lost all my senses. And I immediately realized that she is surely not an ordinary woman, because I'm a Devarishi, I'm Narada, I'm a sage. Looking at any woman, I will not get distracted, right? But then, if looking at this particular woman, if something like this, like if I would have got attracted towards her, then surely she's not an ordinary woman. And at that time, to my surprise, when I looked at her again, I saw a form of a divine person standing there. And within next few moments that I saw is two other male forms, they also came there. So one female was already there, two other males, they also came there. And suddenly all three of them disappeared from there, leaving behind only both the men, they disappeared, and only the divine lady, she was again standing all alone like the first. Oh, Narada says that I was totally shocked. I didn't understand what was happening at all. Someone is coming, someone is going, but the lady is standing intact as she was right from before. Then I directly went and I asked her who she was. And she at that time revealed that I am none other than goddess Savitri, the mother of Vedas. And since I was unable to recognize her, Narada says that since I was unable to recognize her, all the knowledge of the Vedas that I had, all that had vanished from my memory. And she said that she revealed to me that three divine men had come. Narada tells, no, I saw only two. So then she said that no, three men had come. You have lost your powers, you have lost your knowledge so much that you could not even see the three Vedas. So the three men who had come there, they were actually representing the three Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samaveda. In those times, there were only three Vedas. We get the reference of only three Vedas, in the Gita, in the Puranas also. Today's times, we say four Vedas, Chaturveda Paranam, Chaturvedas. Atharva Veda is also a part of the Vedas today. But earlier times, it was not considered because Atharva Veda has a few topics that differ from the subject matter of the first three Vedas. Like, for example, it contains some information about black magic, Ayurveda Shastram and so on. So therefore, because it's subject matter, a bit of, you can say, tantric practices and so on. So as a subject matter differs a bit from the three Vedas that are there. Like the three Vedas usually have mantras in praise of natural deities or for doing different kinds of rituals and so on. So because its subject matter differs, Atharva Veda was not considered to be a part of the four Vedas, and also it is considered to be a modern Veda also because of the difference in the time period. So therefore those three men in those times, they were just the three Vedas that were there. And goddess Savitri then, so now I was feeling very ashamed. Narada says, I felt guilty, so I asked her, so now what should I do to get back the knowledge of the Vedas? She says that there's a nearby lake, you take a bath in that lake and you will not only regain the memory but also the regain memory of all the previous births that you have got. Narada says that that's how I prayed to Goddess Saraswati, I thanked her for the blessings. I then took a bath in that lake and now I remember everything of all my past births, and I got back the knowledge of Vedas and so on. So this was a very amazing incident that happened to me yesterday. Priyavrata was also very surprised listening to this, and he requested Narada that, okay, if you remember everything, you tell me some interesting incident with regards to your past birth. Narada, he told the next story to him. What was that? Let us see. Narada tells that in Satya Yuga, I was born to a Brahmin family and was named as Saraswat by my parents. I was very studious. I grew up to be a great scholar, and we were a very good family, so I never experienced any kind of scarcity in my life. Everything was full. But very soon I got bored of my routine life. Now if everything is there, you don't have to put in efforts for anything, right? So I got very bored of living a life like that, and I didn't know what to do at all. So that's when I felt that everything is getting so bored. So what I did was, life is so boring that you have to just keep worrying about losses, gains and so on. So that's when I decided to do penance and attain salvation. So that's when I decided to give up on my material life. So that's what Narada says. And he said that I distributed all the wealth that I had equally amongst my sons. I went to the banks of the river Saraswati, where I first performed Shraddha in the name of all my ancestors, and performed different yajnas, donated a lot of wealth to the poor people. And being satisfied with whatever I did, I then went to the Pushkar Tirtha at the bank of the Saraswati. I continuously kept chanting the mantra Om Namo Narayanaya and also the Brahmapara Stotra. This is the Stotra Brahmapara Stotra. And ultimately Narayana, he became very pleased. He came in front of me and he asked me of any wish. And at that time, I asked a wish that I want to get united with your divine form. But Narayana told that the world needs you, Narada. You have to go on the path. You are one of my greatest devotees who continuously keeps chanting my name. Therefore, the world needs devotees and people like you, inspirations like you. So I cannot unite you with me now. Otherwise, then the people will lose upon you. So you have to stay back on earth. So Narada says that this desire of mine that could not be fulfilled. And he blessed and gave me this name of Narada because I had donated water, that is Nara, to my ancestors during the course of performing all the Shraddha rituals. So one who donates Nara, that is water, that's how I got this name, Narada. So though my wish was not fulfilled, I wanted to unite myself with Narayana, but though my wish was not fulfilled, Narada says that at least I was happy that I could see the Lord with my mortal eyes. So that satisfaction I had in me. And thereafter I devoted my entire life to the worship of Lord Sri Hari, and after my death I attained Brahmaloka, and I had been awarded for my devotion towards Lord Hari. And later is now I have been born as one of the 10 Manasaputras of Lord Brahma, and only because of the blessings I came to be regarded as Deva Guru, or you can say Loka Guru, Devarshi, by the masses or the people. So Priyavrata, if you are also desirous, if you also want to attain moksha, salvation, then you should also follow my example and always devote your life to the names of Sri Hari, always keep chanting the names of the Lord. Priyavrata, now Prithvi, now this is the original story, Prithvi. Now all this actually Lord Varaha is telling Prithvi, right? So Prithvi was listening to all this, very attentively she was listening. And then she asked him that, is it possible to see Lord Narayana so easily with mortal eyes, just as Narada saw in his previous birth? Varaha said that Lord Narayana has taken 10 incarnations, starting from Matsya, it will end in Kalki. The last incarnation, Kalki, that is yet to take place. So a man can realize Lord Narayana, but by having 10 full devotion in all the 10 incarnations. So it need not be only in the Vishnu form that is there, Matsya, Varaha. In any incarnation you can see the Lord. Right? That's how in different incarnations we have different devotees and people who saw the Lord in different forms, maybe in the Rama Avatara, Krishna Avatara, but in this case Prithvi has already seen Varaha, but she has still not realized that the Varaha person standing in front of her is Lord Vishnu himself. So he tells us. So Lord Brahma, so Prithvi now, she was anxious to know further. He says that now all this Narada had told Priyavrata, but what effect did this have on Priyavrata and what did he do regarding this? So Vishnu Varaha later replied that Priyavrata, he was so impressed by whatever Narada said that he wanted to do penance just like Narada, and he had distributed already his kingdom and everything among his sons, and he also did penance like Narada, and ultimately he also attained moksha. He also attained Vaikuntha because of his devotion. So with this, the story of Priyavrata ends here. Next story that we see is Ashwashira. There was a person called Ashwashira, and he also had got united with Lord Narayana. So what was the story behind Ashwashira? Let's have a look. Now this Ashwashira, he was also a very virtuous king. He ruled over his kingdom very nicely, and he had once performed an Ashwamedha sacrifice in which he had also donated large amount of wealth among the people. And at that time Kapilacharya, sage Kapila, comes at the place accompanied by another sage, and his name was Jaigishavya. Note this name, a very unique name. Kapila Maharshi, he comes there with a sage called Jaigishavya. King Ashwashira, he received both the sages, and he asks that how can Narayana be pleased? What are the different rituals that should be done in order to please Lord Vishnu? Now both the sages felt that this person is asking this question out of ajnana, out of ignorance. He does not know what can be done. So let us enlighten him on this topic. And they further said that, what do you mean by pleasing Narayana? Don't you see Narayana in both of us? We are also two sages who are standing in front of you. Don't you see the form of Vishnu in front of you? Ashwashira said that he denied. He said that I agree that you are divine people, you have got a lot of supernatural powers, you have got yogic powers, saintly qualities, all that is fine. But then I don't believe that you are Lord Narayana himself. Lord Narayana is Almighty God, he is the supreme, he has a Shankha, Chakra, Gada in his hand, he wears a Pitambaram, he has Garuda as his Vahana. So this is the Vishnu that I know. I don't know Vishnu in the form of a sage. And now this was a very valid point, right? So now Kapila Maharshi, he transformed his appearance with the help of his divine powers. And similarly, the other sage, Jaigishavya also, he also transformed himself. And he became Garuda. Now all this happened in front of the king. So he had seen that on both these sages, they were transforming themselves into Vishnu. Still, Ashvashira, he could not believe. He said, how can I accept you to be Narayana, since there is no sign of a lotus that comes from your navel in which I can see Lord Brahma sitting. Then Kapila again, he again transformed his appearance and he created an illusion wherein a lotus flower can see coming out from the navel of Lord Vishnu. But now Ashvashira was really confused. He did not know that now if someone says that there is, okay, now someone tells you that, okay, this is one, all of you, you know me, okay, this is Lakshmi, we attend her class, or she speaks something, I listen to her. But maybe after the class also you meet someone like me only. We'll be surprised, right? I'll say, no, there is another Lakshmi who's there. She also does all this, but no, she does not stay here. She stays somewhere else. Someone comes and tells us like this, we will run away, right? Or that's where we have the concept of ghosts or people coming in like that. Someone is very, very far off, but then we still feel, oh, that person is nearby. He is there, but still I felt like I saw you just now. Something like illusion. Usually we see this in movies and all that, right? So it is somewhat similar that way. So now this Ashvashira was totally confused. He thought that the Lord Narayana was there in heaven, in Vaikuntha, or both these sages who have assumed the form of Lord Narayana. Whom should I believe? Who's the real Narayana? Is Narayana everywhere, or is Narayana in the form of these two sages in front of me, or is Narayana in Vaikuntha? Whom should I worship? He was totally confused. He tells Kapila that both your sages, kindly come back to your original form, don't confuse me anymore. Now both the sages, they decided that okay, now let us stop, and they came back to their original forms, and both of them said that Narayana is one and only one, but he can manifest in different forms. That's how you saw in front of you also. Both of us also, we are just sages. There is only one Narayana. He can take different forms, just as now we took the form of Narayana. Therefore, the whole universe is his creation. He is present in each and every creature. But for us, human beings, we are so ignorant that we feel that only if you have a Shankha, Chakra, Gada, a lotus coming out from your navel, Garuda as your mount, only then we can make out who is Lord Vishnu. We don't see Lord Vishnu, or we don't see the Lord in all other beings. That is the reason why we have so many fights, arguments and everything taking place, right? So therefore, this is a life lesson for all of us, to look at each and everything with a divine perspective. So this lesson was also taught to this king, Ashvashira. Ashvashira, he was satisfied by this explanation. But still, there was another question that again kept bothering him. And he asked that, who is going to get moksha immediately? A knowledgeable person, or a person who does good deeds? That is, a person who does karma yoga, or a person who is practicing jnana yoga. Now for this, Kapila Bhagavan, he tells a story for this. There was a sage, Raimya. Now you have to be very, very careful by knowing all these stories. There was a sage, Raimya, and King Vasu, who had asked the same question to sage Brihaspati. And at that time, Brihaspati had replied that anyone who performs his duties with a sense of detachment, that person is sure to attain salvation. And he had told one story to prove this to the sage Raimya and Vasu. So Kapila Maharshi also, he narrated the same story to this king Ashvashira. There was a Brahmin called Sanyaman, and he was the descendant of sage Atri. And once he was going to take a bath, and at that time he meets a fowler. A fowler is the one who kills animals or birds to make a living. So you can consider to some extent like a hunter. Now this Sanyaman, he went and he told this fowler was named as Nishthura. He told that, why do you trap all these innocent birds and animals? What harm have they done to you? Nishthura said that the Almighty God, he is present in each and every living creature. So one who is desirous of attaining salvation, he must not allow his ego to dominate him. So these are the words of the founder. He was very, very philosophical. Now, this sage who was there, Sanyaman, this Brahmin, he was not a sage, he was a Brahmin. He could not make out. He says, you are a fowler and you are talking such philosophical terms like the Almighty is there in each and every creature. One who attains salvation, he should not bring up his ego. So the doer is not the man but the Supreme, and Almighty is present in him. So a man should just keep performing his duties and so on. So with this, the fowler concludes that therefore, I am not catching these birds and animals. That is how God has placed me in. He is only present in all the creatures. He has got this way. It is the will of the Almighty that I should be a fowler. He gives such a beautiful answer to the sage Sanyaman. And now this Sanyaman was totally confused, and he was very much impressed by the fowler's wisdom. And with this now, a man does, with this what Sanyaman concluded is that a man does whatever God wills, and therefore while we do even our everyday actions also, though from outside it might seem a bit disturbing, for that reason doesn't mean that we also like a fowler go and end up catching animals, birds and so on. Then whatever are our daily activities that we do, if that also if we consider as a form of worship, that also will be considered as worship by the Lord. Just as Krishna says in the 12th chapter of the Gita, you don't have to do anything out of the box, or you don't have to go out of the way to do something for me. You don't have to visit lakhs and lakhs of temples, or maybe give donation in crores and all that. You don't have to do anything. Whatever you do it as if you are doing it to the Lord Himself. Now, if say for example, I'll give you a very simple example to prove this. Now, in today's times, I don't know how far this happens, but then still, if you have your child coming home in the evening, maybe a tired day the child has had, and in the evening when the child comes in, immediately the mother will give the child maybe water, juice, food and everything, right? Same if an unknown person, or you can say your neighbor's child or someone in the building, that child comes in, we'll also give them. He also has a very tired day, and after that he's coming, right? So we also give the child maybe water, food and something like that. To both of them we are giving. To my own child also I am giving the same. To the neighbor's child also I am giving the same. But the affection that I have towards my own child surely differs from the affection that I'll have maybe to my neighbor's son also. He has also come tired only. I'll give him everything. But then now, one day maybe I'll give him with a lot of affection. But if the neighbor's child also keeps coming every day, obviously now between two people, between my own son and between the neighbor's son, obviously I'm going to be attached more to my own son, right? If someone says that you have to give up your own son and you go and you have to live with your neighbor's son, no one will do that, right? So I'm just giving you one example. So similarly here also, what the Sanyaman tries to prove is, whatever we do, even in our daily actions also, if we keep looking at everyone equally, you look at your son as well as your neighbor's son also with the equal, you can say equal outlook, equal mentality. Okay, he is also just like my son only. Though we say like this, it becomes very difficult in reality to practice. In each and every action that we do, if we do it as worship, it becomes it's very easy to speak orally. But then practically, when we have to do something, okay, I'm doing my everyday course, the person who's sitting in front of me, I'm doing some work, this also is a form of worship. We cannot do that. Practically, it is very difficult to accept. Whereas someone says, okay, you have to chant a few stotras that are there, this is worship. This falls in my rule book of worship. Okay, pick up a stotra book, chant a few stotras, put a few flowers, do some worship. This is worship. Go to a temple. Whereas someone says, no, your everyday activities, maybe cleaning, cooking, all that also is like worship. Though in our mind we know that it is worship, practically it becomes cooking. Okay, it's just cooking, everyday activity that I'm doing. That we will not compare, or we will not give a divine aspect to that at all. But then the day when all our activities that we do, even simple chores like cleaning, cooking and so on, all those activities also, the day from which we start looking at them with a sense of worship, a man does not have to improve anywhere. That's where he gets moksha. That is what has been told here through the story of Sanyaman. Now Sanyaman, this Brahmin, was very much impressed by the fowler's wisdom, and so Brihaspati had told this story to the sage Raimya and King Vasu, and the same story was told by Kapila to Ashvashira. Now, with this now Ashvashira, he had got an answer to all his doubts that he had, and with this he was also very happy that the sages, both Kapila and Jaigishaya, both of them have come in front of me. To whatever questions I asked, they have proved, they have given me very good answers, and with this their story ends. Now Lord Varaha told Prithvi that King Ashwashira, he was so much impressed by Kapila's preachings that he went to Naimisharanya forest to spend his rest of the life in the service of Lord Narayana. And once while he was performing yajna, suddenly Lord Vishnu, he manifested, he came in front of him, and it is said that he was so bright, the form of the Lord was so bright that due to Ashwashira's devotion, he finally merged himself with Lord Narayana. So this is how Ashwashira, this king also, he got united with Lord Narayana by the virtue of his deep devotion and bhakti that he had towards towards Lord Narayana. Next we have the story of King Vasu and sage Raimya. They also unite with the Lord. How this happens? It is a big story that is there, so therefore we will not start with this now. We have two more stories to look at. This is one story that is there. Next we have Matsyavatara story that comes in the Varaha Purana. And then we have about 9 sections that talk about the significance of Shraddha Karma and so on. How all that has to be done. With this, today we will stop because there is no time to start a new topic. Tomorrow, that is in the next session, we will continue further. Okay, we'll start. Om Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Shashivaranam Chaturbhujam Prasannavanam Dhyaye Sarvavighnopashantaye Saraswati Namastubhyam Vadade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurus Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay, so in the last session we had started with Varaha Purana. We saw a few stories from the Varaha Purana. Initially the Varaha Purana starts with a few stories that relate to devotees, how they attain Vishnu, how they attain to the feet of Vishnu, how was their devotion and so on. So like this we had seen the story of, the first story was with regards to Prithvi's queries. She asked a few queries to Lord Brahma, to Lord Vishnu, in the form of Varaha. Then how Priyavrata, he attained moksha, he attained Vaikunta. Next how Ashwashira attained Vaikunta. And the next what we are going to see is, we have the two sages that yesterday itself, while looking at the story of Ashwashira, we had seen the reference, the names of two sages. That is a King Vasu and a sage Raimya, both of them, how they unite with the Lord. That's what we are going to see today. Now, Brihaspati, now we had also seen the Guru of the gods Brihaspati. So, that reference also you can find out in the earlier story. Now, note that those who have not attended the previous session, or maybe if you don't remember, you can do one thing. After today's session is also over, you can listen to the audio of the last session and then this session, so that you can make out and you will feel like it is a continuation of the same story. So now next, Prithvi, she was very anxious and she wanted to know that what happened next to King Vasu. There was a king called Vasu and the sage Raimya. So she asked Lord Varaha, saying that what did they do after listening? Now they had also listened to the preachings of Guru Brihaspati. So then what happened to them? What was the effect? So what did they do later? So Varaha Bhagavan replied that King Vasu, he was so impressed by Brihaspati's discourses that he also decided to spend his life in the service of Lord Narayana. And he appointed Vivaswan, his eldest son, as his successor, and he left for Pushkara Tirtha. Pushkara Tirtha in Rajasthan today, the Pushkar temple that we have. And there he did a lot of penance while chanting the Pundarikaksha Stotra. This is a stotra, very unique stotra. So this King Vasu, he had been chanting this Pundarikaksha Stotra, and one day while he was chanting that, he experienced an incident wherein he saw a person whose complexion was blue and he stood with folded hands, and he requested the stranger to introduce himself, saying that, who are you? I am seeing you in this form, having a blue body, you have manifested, who are you? And at the time, that person who came in front of this King Vasu, he said that, you are the ruler of Janasthana. Janasthana is nothing but today's Nasik in Maharashtra district, where you can consider the borders of Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. So that's where, from the Ramayana reference, we have Rama who had killed Khara, Dushana and Trishiras. So that is the same place, Janasthana, where he had also killed the 14,000, or to be precise 13,999. 14,000 that was there, he was Akampana. So he was not killed there. Akampana went back to Lanka. So if you see the number, it is 13,999, but as a general statement, we say as 14,000. So this is the same place, Janasthana, where Rama had also killed several demons. And at this place, this king, the entity, that is the person who had come in front of King Vasu, he said that, "O king, in your previous birth you were the king of this place, Janasthana, and once while you went deep into the forest for hunting, at that time you saw a deer which was none other than myself, and I had disguised myself as a deer and I was moving about in this forest, and you had killed that deer. Now you did not know, you did not recognize who I was, and you killed, and later when you realized your mistake, you killed yourself for having killed a Brahmin. I am actually a Brahmin, I was disguised as a deer. You did not know that, and later you felt sorry for that, and you finally that's when you cursed yourself, saying that you cursed yourself. And how did you curse yourself, and how you tried to come out of the sin was, on every Ekadashi you started fasting, and you had also donated a cow in order to please Lord Narayana. Now all this King Vasu does not remember, but the person who had come in front of King Vasu, he tells him all this, that in your previous birth you had done all this, and you are observing this fast on Ekadashi and all that. But in spite of doing all this, you did not get Vaikuntha, and because at the time of your death, you had chanted your wife's name, Narayani, instead of Narayana. So this was the place where you bit, maybe a blunder had happened, a mistake had happened from you, and therefore it is said that you were not able to attain Vishnu Loka, and that is the reason you have been born again. Now next birth you were born as the king of Kashmir. Now not immediately in the next birth he was not Vasu. Vasu was first the king of Janasthana, that's where he did this blunder of killing the deer and so on. Next birth he was born as the king of Kashmir, today's Kashmir, and it is said that in that birth also numerous yagas, this, that, everything you performed, but some of the other place you went wrong. You had not chanted the names of the Lord. You did difficult yajnas here and there, but you did not chant the names of Lord Vishnu at all in any of the rituals. So again, you could not attain Vishnu Loka. So now, therefore, now what happened is that you have been constantly chanting the Pundarikaksha Stotra, which has the names of me, names of Lord Vishnu, and therefore I myself, the Lord myself, have come in front of you so that I can take you to Vishnu Loka, take you to Vaikuntha. You have been trying to reach Vaikuntha for the last 2 births, but some of the other hurdles were coming in between, and that is the reason you could not reach at all. But now finally that you have made up your mind, you have put in a lot of efforts, so that is where I myself have come. A divine aircraft also has come, and that's how King Vasu, he left for Vishnu Loka. The Lord himself came and took him away. Now all this sage Raimya, he got this news that this king has attained Vishnu Loka, and he too wanted to reach Vishnu Loka now. He reached Gaya, both Gaya and today's Bihar. He performed Shraddha in the name of his ancestors, and then he also did severe penance. Sanat Kumara, the Sanat Kumaras, that is out of the 4 Sanat Kumaras, one of them, they came and they were very pleased. They became very pleased. Firstly, one Sanat Kumara came, and then all the 4, they came together. They were very pleased by Raimya's presence and all that. They appeared before him, and they said that you have done a lot of Shraddha, all your ancestors, they are all very happy. And then he described, the Sanat Kumara, they started describing the virtues of performing Shraddha at Gaya, and they then started narrating a following tale. Now note that a following story. Now note that in the Puranas, do not get confused. Now you are also, when for the last 9 minutes that I am speaking, most of you would, that too especially when people are joined in between, you might get confused. So that is the reason you listen to the audio later from beginning, so that you can see how things fall in place. So basically in the Puranas, if you see stories and stories and stories and stories, that's what the link is. One story, in order to explain one story, another story comes in between. Then to explain that, a third story will come in, and then by this time we forget what was the original story. So you have to be very attentive, very careful. So maybe in the first go, now we don't have so much time that I keep on asking, has everyone got it or something. Of course you can ask your doubts, but then if you feel that in a few places, okay, I want to note down a few names, or maybe the names of places, or maybe the chronology, how things have happened, okay, after this happened, after this happened, maybe you can listen to the audio once again. Yeah, okay. Now next, what happened is that the Sanat Kumara, he started talking about the performance, or how this Gaya Shraddham, what are the benefits of that, and he started telling a following story. Now, there was a king who was called Vishala. He had no son, and one day he invited a few Brahmins to his place, so that he did a lot of seva, he offered them food and all that, and that's how he prayed to them, and that he should be blessed with a son. Now all the Brahmins told him that you will not have a son because of some curse of your ancestors. That is, you have not performed their Shraddha Karma properly, so they are all angry with you, and that is the reason you can never beget a son at all until and unless you perform Shraddha rituals at Gaya. Now Vishala, this king, immediately he went to Gaya, and as per the instruction he did all the Shraddha Karma and everything. He offered the Pinda Danam, and while he was still performing all the rituals, he has not finished that, he saw 3 men descending from heaven. One of them was fair, while the remaining 2, they were like, one was a bit brownish and the third one was dark complexion. And Vishala, this king, curiously he asked them, who you are? And the fair person, he said that I am your father. And this brown person who was there, he says that he is your grandfather, and the black dark complexion person, he is your great grandfather. So my father, so this person who was there, the king's father, he says that I had committed grave sins while I was alive and I had killed a Brahmana. Your grandfather was he so dark complexion is that there is nothing that can be done for his sin. So that was the amount of sins that he had committed. So we cannot even speak about that today. And he had killed numerous innocent sages, this, that and everything. My grandfather, my father, all of them. So the king's father, this Vishala's father, grandfather, great grandfather, all of them had committed a lot of grave sins at all. And all of us, we have come here to express our gratitude, to tell us that you have performed our Shraddha Karma. So we have been liberated from all our sins. And the water that you have offered to us while performing the rituals, because of that now we are able to communicate to you. So though we are spirits, we are not living beings now, we are able to communicate with you because of the Pinda Danam that you have offered. Now after this, so this was a small story that the Sanat Kumara told Raimya. He said that Gaya was a supreme place of pilgrimage, and if you do Shraddha Karma there, like there is no benefit or no merit beyond that. Now that is the best. So therefore Sage Raimya, he dedicated the rest of his life to the place of to just dedication of praying to the Lord there, and he was very happy listening to the story. He stayed there only for quite a long time. He did a lot of worship and everything, and at that time finally the sage Raimya, he also attained enlightenment, and with the blessings of the Lord he attained again Vishnu Loka. Now the Lord to whom he prayed here, that has been mentioned in the Varaha Purana as Gadadhara, not just plainly Vishnu, Narayana and so on. It is Gadadhara. It is one who has the Kaumodaki, Gada, in his hand. The Kaumodaki is the name of the Gada that is there in the hands of Vishnu. So one who attained the divine abode of the Lord, this Raimya, that so Raimya, he attained the Lord, the realm of the Lord, who was called as Gadadhara. Okay, so with this incident has ended. Okay, till here has everyone understood? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, we'll continue. Next is the story of Matsyavatara. So now this is also a very small incident that has been given. Hardly a few lines has been mentioned. They have not delved much into detail. So once Vishnu, when he had awakened from his yoga nidra, he found that the Vedas had submerged into the ocean as a result of Pralaya, that is the destruction of the universe. So that is the reason why he incarnated as Matsya, in order to retrieve the Vedas from the ocean. And as soon as Lord Matsya, he entered the ocean, he attained such an enormous size that all the gods, they became very afraid. And on seeing all the gods afraid, Lord Matsya, he retrieved the Vedas, and from a huge fish he transformed his form back to Lord Vishnu, and they were very joyous. The deities and the gods, they became very happy after seeing the divine appearance of Lord Vishnu. So, and they tried to pray to Vishnu, and that from that day onwards we also worship Vishnu in the form of Matsya. This is the only story about Matsyavatara that has been mentioned in the Varaha Purana. We don't have the story of the sage picking up the fish from the pond and then putting it again, its size was small and so on, and slowly it keeps on increasing. That story is not there in the Varaha Purana. Other Puranas we have already seen that. So in the Matsyavatara story that is there in the Varaha Purana, it is just this much, that the Vedas are submerged in the ocean, the Lord took a form of a Matsya in order to save the Vedas. That's it. And the deities were very happy, they started praying to the Lord. Okay. Next is Durjaya, a story about a king called Durjaya. But during Satya Yuga, there was a king named Supratika. Now he had two queens, but again, both of them did not have any sons. So one day the Supratika king, he went to meet sage Durvasa, and who had his hills at the foothills of the Chitrakuta mountain. Chitrakuta from the Ramayana reference. So Durvasa used to have an ashrama on the foothills of this Chitrakuta mountain. And so this king, he went and met Durvasa, and he did a lot of service to the sage Durvasa. The sage also blessed the king and told that surely you would become a proud father of a son named Durjaya. Now that's how it came to, and Supratika's eldest queen, her name was Vidyut Prabha, she gave birth to a son, and the son was named as Durjaya. And in the course of time, what happened is that after Supratika, this Durjaya, he became the next king, he became the successor. And once Supratika, he grew old, he decided to spend rest of life in the service of God. He went to Chitrakuta mountain, he did a lot of penance and all that. Meanwhile, this Durjaya, he started expanding his kingdom, all the nearby territories and everything he started conquering, and tried to bring everything under his control. And he also killed other warrior castes, other the Kinnaras, Demons, Gandharvas, everything. So he did not, even Indra was also afraid of him. So he did not look at who was the person in front of me. Whoever came in, he wanted to just expand his kingdom, and he started conquering, attacking and fighting with everyone who came his way. And even Indra, he was also defeated by this Durjaya. And now the whole world was very afraid, saying that now the Indra himself has been destroyed, so now what else? Our lives are also in danger. So once Durjaya, when he was returning back to his capital after defeating Indra and all other armies, he met two asuras. The names were Vidyut and Suvidyut. Both of them, they had disguised themselves as sages. Originally they were asuras, but they had disguised themselves as sages, and they came in front of this king Durjaya. Now Durjaya said that you do some service and this and that. Now that is, we have sages, we have come in front of you. So what is happening is that you have to take care of us, because a lot of trouble and everything is happening all around. Now Durjaya knew that these are sages, I have to offer them service and all, and he took care of them. He requested them that you stay, I will offer you what you want and all that. But he failed to recognize that both of them were actually demons, they were actually Rakshasas. And he asked them still, who are you and what's your purpose and all that. So they say that we are the sons of Swayambhuva Manu, we are Hetu, Prachetu and so on. They say that. Now they tell their names wrongly. Okay, so note here that they tell their names wrongly, but then still this person, he believes them, Durjaya, he believes them. And Durjaya said that, and both of these sages, they say that we have also defeated the deities and everything. We have driven them out from their abode. So now Indra and all the gods are running here and there, and all of them, they have gone to seek the help of Lord Vishnu now. And Lord Vishnu also, he has also attacked us. He has killed our enemy, but he spared our lives. So now onwards, we have become ardent devotees. We are now sages of the Lord. We are called as Hetu and Prachetu. Now originally they were actually two asuras who were named as Vidyut and Suvidyut. Now here you note that what happened is that, please note that in some references of the Puranas, I think there is some lag that is taking place because of the net that is a bit slow, I suppose that. So just bear, I think it should be fine. They are doing some work, so that's the reason I think the voice is a bit slow. Okay, so now in some references that are there in the commentaries, you will find that this reference of Vidyut Suvidyut, the two sages who came originally disguised as Rakshasas, and these two sages that I mentioned now, Hetu and Prachetu, in some books it is given that both are one and the same. That is, originally they were named as some and later they introduced themselves as different. But then, as per a few other commentaries, and the second commentary is what makes sense, is that this Vidyut and Suvidyut, they had disguised themselves as sages. They came and this person Durjaya, he made them even the Lokapalas. Lokapalas is one who takes care of all the army in his capital, one who takes care of all the army chiefs, soldiers, chariots, everything. And that's where this this both these sages Vidyut and Suvidyut, it is said that Durjaya made them their the Lokapala. Lokapala is the one who takes care of his entire army. He leaves them at his capital and he moves about, saying that no, I want to expand my kingdom more, so I will set up. So now these demons, they were very happy, both of them disguised as sages, that we have got the control over all the army, we can stay here happily. So with this, their topic closes. Okay. Then in the next part, in the future events, further events that take place, at that time two other sages come, Hetu and Prachetu. So here you find a bit of, you can say, conflict or a bit difference that comes in, wherein we get confused. What should we believe in exactly? But then you can believe whatever you feel like. But then the second explanation is both are actually different. Vidyut, so Vidyut, their topic ends there. They are disguised. They are originally Rakshasas disguised as sages. They wanted to take over the control of the army of Durjaya. That they could do because Durjaya felt that they are really sages. And with that, their topic ends. Further, Durjaya keeps moving. He finds two beautiful women standing there, and he was surprised to find them. It was a very deserted, lonely place. So two women standing alone. So he did not go and ask them directly. He was just standing and was just wondering why they were standing there. And at that time, he saw two sages approaching him, and both the hermits. Both of them, they asked Durjaya, in fact, that who are you? Why have you come here, and so on. So at that time, Durjaya, he introduces himself and he says that it is my wish, I want to conquer the whole world. And then he tells the sages that you introduce yourself. And at that time, both the sages say that we are the sons of Swayambhuva Manu, Hetu and Prachetu. We have successfully defeated the deities and everything. And all the deities have gone to seek the help of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu also attacked us, but he spared our lives. From that day onwards, we have become ardent devotees of Lord Vishnu. So this is an introduction that the two sages that Durjaya met later on the way, they came. Now Hetu, pointing towards one of the women, he says that she is my daughter, her name is Sukeshi. And the other woman you see, that is my brother Prachetu's daughter, and her name is Mishrakeshi. So two sages, Hetu, Prachetu. Hetu's daughter Sukeshi, Prachetu's daughter Mishrakeshi. Note these words. And they say that you, Durjaya, you please accept both of these women as your wives. And Durjaya readily agreed. He married both of them and he returned back to his capital. Now everything was going very smoothly for Durjaya, and on one fateful day he met his downfall because of his extreme greed. And how come this happened? For that we have a story. Now once Durjaya, as usual, he went to the forest for hunting, where he met a sage called Gaurmukha. Gaurmukha, he had been blessed by Vishnu with a diamond, and the diamond was called as Chintamani. So, which was capable, it could fulfill all desires. And Gaurmukha, he knew that Durjaya was a great king who had conquered Indra, even the deities also were defeated. So he gave Durjaya a very royal, kingly treatment. And with the help of this wish-fulfilling Chintamani that is there, he created a palace, he offered various different delicacies and so on. And now Durjaya, he knew about this Chintamani and he also wanted this wish-fulfilling diamond. And therefore he sent his minister Virochana to somewhat persuade the sage Gaurmukha to give the diamond away. But now Gaurmukha, he became very angry when he knew the intention of Durjaya, and he told Virochana, that the minister of Durjaya, that you ask this king to leave from this place immediately. About Gaurmukha, he knew quite well that this king was not one who will give up easily. So therefore he will definitely maybe fight a war or some by hook or crook, he wants the diamond away. So I must be very, very careful because this king is of that nature. So he requested this diamond to create a very big army, so that tomorrow if Durjaya attacks, my army is also ready to face that. Meanwhile, Durjaya, as usual, he ordered his chief commander also to bring the diamond, and at the time his chief commander with the entire army goes to fight and bring for the diamond. And then a fierce battle takes place between both the armies, and in which Durjaya's entire army was killed. Durjaya now, he himself came forward to fight, but even he also was defeated. And in the meantime, what happens is that Hetu and Prachetu, the sages, they got the news that their son-in-law Durjaya was in trouble, and both of them also, they also came with a huge army, but they were also no match, and they also died. Meanwhile, the sage Gaurmukha, he found Durjaya standing at the entrance of his hermitage with a few surviving soldiers who were there, and with the help of Vishnu, and it is said that so he was just standing there. At that time, this sage, he sought the help of Lord Vishnu, who appeared there in no time. And Gautama, he told Vishnu that you please punish this Durjaya. He has done a lot of evil deeds. Just because for his greed, he wanted to conquer his kingdom. Conquering or expanding your kingdom is not bad. But then at the cost of killing other innocent beings and going to the extent of over greed or over lust. So this person should surely be punished. And he requested Lord Vishnu that you please punish Durjaya for all his evil greed and evil deeds. And at that time, Lord Vishnu, he cuts off Durjaya's head with his Sudarshana Chakra, and the place where Durjaya was killed, that becomes famous as Naimisharanya forest. In the beginning itself, when we see the Puranas story, when we had started, we had seen this Naimisharanya forest. And it is said that further sage Gaurmukha, he continued living at this place without any problem. Now he had no dangers at all. So this is a story of Durjaya. Now, listening to this story, you will not feel that maybe it's not very interesting or so. But then through such stories, what we know is how a few places are created, or the significance of a particular place is seen through all these stories. So that is the purpose of telling this story. Okay, so with this, the story part ends. Next, so these were about 6 or 7 sections in which Prithvi, she asks a few questions to Varaha Bhagwan, and he has also answered them very nicely through different stories, how a devotee can attain the place of Lord Narayana. Next section, about 9 sections or so, they talk about Shraddha rituals. So Pitrus and what's the significance of doing the Shraddha Karma, that has been described in the further sections. So let's have a look. So once sage Markandeya, he arrives at this place Naimisharanya to meet the sage Gaurmukha from the Durjaya's story reference. Sage Gaurmukha, he was very happy to see Markandeya. Markandeya is one of the Ashta Chiranjeevis. Does anyone know the shloka of the 7 Chiranjeevis? Who are the 7 Chiranjeevis?
Parasuram.
Parshurama is one. What about others?
Hanuman. Vishnu.
Yes. No one knows the shloka?
Ashwatthama Bali Vyasa Ashwatthama Vibhishana. I think some places it is Rama Parashurama, but other places I heard Kripa and Parashurama.
Rama, no. Rama has already ended his Rama avatar, right? So Rama is not a Chiranjeevi. Kripacharya, correct. Ashwatthama Balirvyaso Hanumamsha Vibhishanaha Kripah Parashuramascha Saptaite Chiranjeevinaha Saptaitan Sansmare Nityam Markandeya Mathashtamam Jeever Varsha Shatam Pragnyaha Apamrityu Vivarjitaha. This shloka we must chant 7 Chiranjeevis. 8th one who is added to the list is Markandeya. We have a separate Purana, also Markandeya Purana, which we will be looking at later. And the Palashruti of chanting this verses is Jeeved Varsha Shatam Pragnyaha. When you chant this verse, will live for 100 years. Apamrityu Vivarjitaha, and will not fear death at all, and that too will be free from all kinds of, you can say, accidental or unexpected death. So that is the Palashruti of chanting these 2 verses, not only for the sake of Palashruti, but for our knowledge too, we must know. So I think easily, I think you can find this verse also, Sapta Chiranjeevis verse, that is there. So from the Sapta Chiranjeevis, the 8th Chiranjeevi is Markandeya, who is also added to the list. So he comes, he visits the sage Gaurmukha's ashrama, and Gaurmukha was very happy to receive him. And Gaurmukha, he requested Markandeya that you are such a learned man, you are one of the Chiranjeevis. So you enlighten, you tell me something about our ancestors and what is the significance of doing the Shraddha rituals. People all over, they are doing all this Shraddha Karma and all that. So what is the significance of that? Can you tell me a little about that? And Markandeya says yes. He says, Lord Brahma, after creating the Saptarishis, he instructed them to worship him, that is, worship Lord Brahma. But then they became very arrogant that they started worshipping themselves, like Hiranyakashipu, who says that I am only the Lord, everyone all around should worship me. Now Lord Brahma, he felt very insulted and he cursed them that in the course of time you will lose or you will forget whatever you have learned till date. And the Saptarishis, they had numerous sons, and after the death of the Saptarishis, all the sons, they performed the Shraddha Karma so that their fathers can attain peace. Now Sage Gaurumukha, he was listening to Markandeya's, whatever Markandeya was saying, with very close, rapt attention. And he asked the most appropriate time for performing Shraddha and also about the number of Ganas each of the Pitrus were supposed to have. Now, what is this Ganas? Let me look at that later. So, this Saptarishi's sons, they were the first ones who had started doing the Shraddha Karma. So, from that day onwards till date, the different Shraddha rituals that we do after a person dies, that has come from that tradition. So, Sage Markandeya, he replies that Pitrus, they live in the heaven, and there are different Pitrus. Even in Pitrus also there are different kinds of Pitrus. And those who live in heaven, they are known as Soma Pitrus. Soma Pitrus is one who live in heaven. And they are believed to be the most privileged ones who are living in heaven. They enjoy the most delicious Somarasa, that is a delicious beverage that is given in heaven. And their lifespan, it extends for the full period of one Kalpa. They worship the Maruts. And Sage Maricha, he belongs to this category of Pitrus. So this is the highest, or you can say the first category of Pitrus. Pitrus, who belong to the category of Vairaja, they are revered by the Marudganas. And Sanaka, he comes under this category. And each of these Pitrus, they have about 7 Ganas. Now, what are these Ganas? Is you can just consider them as group. Now, why 7? One of the Saptarishis, they represent each of the 7 Ganas. So, Pitrus are also like divided into 7-8 categories, and each of the categories has got a group leader. These leaders, each of the Saptarishis, are how the Pitrus have been divided into. Now, why this has been done? The reason being that from the ritual, that is the Saptarishis' sons, the Saptarishis were the first to whom the Shraddha Karma was being done. So, that is the reason they have become the Ganas. That is the reason why there are about 7 Ganas. So, like this, there are different categories of Ganas and Pitrus also, like Kashyapa, Maricha, Sanaka, Vasu, after the Saptarishis. Now, the appropriate time for performing the Shraddha Karma. Now, Markandeya told Gaurmukha that a person who is desirous of performing Kamya Shraddha is one type of Shraddha, that is after a person dies. Now, whom do we do Shraddhas? For our ancestors. That is whenever Uttarayana or Dakshinayana starts. That is roughly in the months of January or June. That is when we have the, in January we have the Makar Sankranti festival, and in the June you can consider the equinox that comes in. That is the beginning of Uttarayana or Dakshinayana. At that time you can do. Then both the eclipses, solar lunar eclipses, or when you are troubled by nightmares, or you can say you approach some astrologers and so on, they will tell you this so and so planet is not good, this and that, or there are continuous problems that come in. At that time also, if you go and approach your family priest, he will tell that no, maybe you have not done your Shraddha Karma rituals properly. So first you do that, all the problems are solved. So something like that. So when things or problems are being told like this, and if the family priest advises, at that time also Shraddha Karma must be done. And at the time when the sun's position gets changed from one zodiac to another, that is at the beginning of every new month, roughly. So these are different times wherein we can perform Shraddha. Now this is over and above the yearly Shraddha that we do. Please remember one thing. Doesn't mean that okay, today I feel like doing, so tomorrow I can get up and do it. Is not like that. The yearly on the right tithi of when a particular person dies, we do Shraddha. But then to whom do we do Shraddha? We do to our own parents, right? Or the next generation. Beyond that, we don't do for all our ancestors. We do not even know all our ancestors. But in general, if you want to do a Shraddha Karma for just Pitru Shanti, or we do all this Shanti Yajna and all that, right? Or Vastu Shanti we do. What is the reason for that? To whom do we do? We don't know the names of all our ancestors. But in general, if you want to do for your ancestors, you can do on these different dates that I told you. That is eclipse, or maybe Uttarayana, Dakshinayana and so on. This is over and above the yearly Shraddha Karma that we would be doing for our parents, grandparents and so on. You cannot mix both of these, or they are not interchangeable or irreplaceable. Okay, this replaceable, sorry, this I'll do, so instead of that I won't do this, or both of them I'll do together. That should not be done. Both are completely different from each other. And next, when Shraddha should be done, especially when we have the nakshatras like Anuradha, Vishaka and Swati. Now I assume that most of you here, you would be knowing your Janma Tithi, or that is your Janma Nakshatram. Those who don't know, kindly ask the elders in your family. We must know the Janma Nakshatram. I don't think anyone here would be knowing it, would not be knowing it, but then still, if anyone does not know it, please go and ask, approach your elders who are there in your family. They will surely know. And those who don't know, like even your elders also, they also don't know, then you can ask your family priest. They will tell you depending on your date and everything, or even you yourself can also find out your Janma Nakshatram, the day when you were born and the time, if you know the time of your birth and the date of birth when you were born and the year. With that also you can calculate, seeing the Hindu Panchanga that we have. That is also available online too, so that also you can check. This is for those who don't know. I don't think anyone here is like that, but still, if you don't know, ensure that you know that. And even for our elders also, whenever we do the Shraddha, not only the Shraddha, any rituals is there, the priest will usually ask, okay, tell what is your Janma Nakshatram, what is your parents' Janma Nakshatram. At that time, people, you would see that they will be staring at each other. The child, okay, the small child also, I have seen so many, in so many places, wherein if the nakshatra, Janma Nakshatra of a particular person is called out, of the child will look at its parents. And at that time the parent, oh, yeah, my son, you do. And they fall at the feet and all that. That should not be told. The son itself must be told, the son or daughter, whoever it is, the children themselves, they must be told their Janma Nakshatram right from day one. Though we celebrate our English birthdays, we must also celebrate the Janma Nakshatram. Only when we celebrate that, people know, or the child will know that, okay, I am born on so and so day, okay, this is my date that I was born. But then what was the nakshatram that was there? That is very, very, very important. If I give you, like, say for example, I'll give you my example. Whenever we tell a child, okay, I was born on December 23rd in the year 2000. My, I think, time of birth was about 7:38 or 7:40, whatever it is. At that time, my Janma Nakshatram is Anuradha Nakshatram. This is, or Anusha Nakshatram, whatever it is. So this is the way of telling. Whenever a child tells, okay, I was born on so and so date. Now if I just talk, okay, I was born on December 23rd in the year 2000. I must not stop there. I must know, okay, in which Janma Nakshatram I am born, or even the Rashi that is there. Even till date, we don't know our Rashi, which Rashi it is. Okay, you are born roughly in the month of December, okay, it should be this Rashi, Vrishchika Rashi, or something like that. That should not, we must know that. So many places it happens that the elders themselves, they don't know. So they cannot tell the child, and even if they know also, they don't tell the child openly, right? So at that time, the child will keep staring at its mother. And then when the mother tells, oh yes, my mother is telling, listen. Or many times only one person in the family will tell. Maybe you have a grandfather, grandmother, someone sitting. They will only tell the Janma Nakshatras of the entire family. This should not be done. Each person should know at least their own Janma Nakshatra, right? Someone comes and asks me, I should not wait for my parents or maybe someone else to come and tell, no, this is your Janma Nakshatram, do you know that? No. It sounds so foolish if someone else has to come and tell you your date of birth. It is quite similar to that only. Dating is, this is just our Janma Nakshatram, so we feel that no, why should I know this? That should never be known. English birthdays, okay, we have the date on which you are born, date of birth, that is fine. So just as we remember our date of birth, we must also remember even the Janma Nakshatram. So those who don't know, please find that out. And in case for other people also, like children or whomever you don't know, please tell them also. They must also know this, so that if someone goes and asks them, they can also at least tell. Maybe they don't, you need not delve into that, okay, these are also many zodiac signs are there, 27 are there, then you have one is Rohini, one is Anuradha, this, that. Now some people are so smart enough, they can know the count also, right? So that is the reason after every nakshatram, if you just tell them your date of birth, they will immediately count, right? Or I have seen a few people in my own family also, they have this habit. If so and so child is born on a particular date, now whenever a child is born, nobody tells their Janma Nakshatram, okay, he is born on, we just tell the date, right? Okay, maybe today someone is born, we say, correct, 23rd April 2023 a child is born. At that time nobody tells that it is which Nakshatra, right? But then today, like my mother or my grandmothers also, I've seen them, immediately they will sit and calculate which nakshatram it is. Oh, he's born on nakshatram and the tithi that is there and so on. So this habit also a few people have. So that is a good habit that is there. So even if we need not delve so deep also, but at least our own Janma nakshatram we must do. And even till date you go to temples like Alameluji has said, you must do pujas on that day. We must celebrate both the birthdays equally. That is also very, very equal. If we don't do that, now some people who are, you can say, very orthodox, I'm not saying orthodox, but then they will say that no, we will celebrate only the Janma Nakshatra birthdays that comes. That is again wrong. Date of birth.
Lakshmi.
Yes.
I just wanted a small clarification. This birthdays, you say when you go to temples, they give the star and the thing. And the name, what name? You have to give the birth name, isn't it?
Correct.
What you have been Namakarana name, not what you are known as.
Correct. This is one thing very, very important. Correct. So this
Okay.
is, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is again one thing that she added is you must tell your original name that is there, and not now. I don't know how far this is. Now in my case at least it is not like that. I was named as Lakshmi also. My original name is Lakshmi. People also call me Lakshmi. So maybe in my case I don't have to think much. But then a few cases like whenever we name someone, their original name is, you name them as so and so, you have a big name, and then maybe calling name is so, nickname is so. So our child also we must tell them originally your name is so and so, but you are called so and so, your nickname. Otherwise there the child will go, he will tell us some nickname that we call them at home, and then the priest will be surprised, right? So these are all some things which we don't have to discuss in detail, but then we see that people today they don't know their own Janma Nakshatram, which family, beyond 1 or 2 generations they will not. Such a sad story, some people don't even know the names, children, small children. Even though we have not seen maybe our grandfathers or great grandfathers, we must at least know their name, right? Grandfather, grandmother, okay, they lived here, maybe they belong to so and so place and so on. Many people they don't know that, nor they are interested. That is one thing that is there, but then at least from our side we must tell to some extent. We must not just, okay, this is your English birthday, celebrate, okay, these are your parents are living here, one grandfather was living there. If you just leave it that way, the child will never know. So at least 50 to 60% it is also mistake on our parts when we don't tell them things properly. So all these things also only when you share it with the next generation, they can also, one person should know his own Janma Nakshatram, Janma Tithi, where he is born, what he was doing, the time of birth and all that. So all this is not astrology or anything, right? So it is just we believe in different Hindu calendars also. Why do we follow Hindu calendars? We don't follow only January to December. Hindu calendars are not only for the sake of festivals, that is starting from Chaitra and ending with Falgun. It is not only for determining festivals or important occasions. For our different nakshatrams are also there, different tithis are there, all that is also equally important. Okay, so coming back, on the 3 nakshatras that are there, that is Anuradha, Vishakha and Swati. Anuradha and Vishakha usually come, first comes Vishakha, next is Anuradha. On these 3 days are considered very auspicious for doing the Shraddha Karma, and especially if the day again happens to be Amavasya. Usually we have the Amavasya Tarpana that is done in most of our houses for our ancestors. Shraddha performed on such a day. It is said that the ancestor remains happy for the next 8 years. Though we have to do it annually, it is a satisfaction. You do it this year, for the next 8 years it will pacify, or the ancestor becomes very, very happy. Then the combination of Amavasya either with Pushya or Punarvasu, these 2 nakshatras, it is again believed to pacify the ancestor for about 12 years, not only 8, 12 years, 4 more added. Then there are many days that are considered auspicious to do the Shraddha. That is the 3rd day of the Hindu month Vaishakha, that is the next month. 3rd day of the bright half, that is the Shukla Paksha, 3rd day of Shukla Paksha of Vaishakha. Then the 9th day Shukla Paksha Kartik Masa. All this is mentioned in the Varaha Purana. I am just sharing the same. If you want, you note down, or later you can also listen to the audio and note down. So 3rd day Shukla Paksha Vaishakha month, 9th day Shukla Paksha Kartika Masa, 13th day Krishna Paksha Bhadrapada Masa, that is roughly around the festival, Ganesh Chaturthi festival, and Amavasya falling in the month of Magha, February month. So man desirous of performing Shraddha, like if you don't know the Tithi or something of our ancestors. I don't know when my grandfather died, I don't know when my father died. Now there should be no excuse at all. Different options have been told in the Puranas. Now all this, when it is followed, is when people say, now if you see a few people, they will, a few, maybe 1 or 2 generations back, like if I give you the example of my own grandfather, he did not know his date of birth at all. So roughly, maybe some of his elder brother, cousins or someone, when they had to take an admission in a village school, so they would have roughly given some date. I don't know if there is anyone like this here. This I'm talking about quite old, maybe the last century or so. In the early 1920s, 1930s, people who were born then, maybe they did not know this much. We didn't have the concept of birth certificate and all that, that you have a proper date that has been told. So therefore,
Because they were born only in the home only, no ma'am.
yes,
No
so that is the
hospital
reason,
setting
correct.
it up, no?
So
That's right.
yes, so many of the births used to take place at home, so that is the reason nobody had this concept of birth, or you have a birth certificate, date of birth and all that. So therefore, when such things come in, even in the case of death also, sometimes like in those times, if you see, most of the deaths also now, last 15-20 years, you see people live for about 100 years or 9. Now today's times, you see nobody, there are untimely deaths, I'm not comparing, but then maybe in the 1950s, 60s or so, people used to live even for 60 years. It is like, oh, he has lived for 60 years, right? Or even 50 years, more than 50, 55, that was also considered to be like, okay, now nobody used to feel bad much. Or maybe a random fever comes in and the person used to die. Maybe medical facilities were not that much and so on. But today, even people living for 80, 90 also, they have some ailment, you get treatments and all that. So when such deaths used to take place, like today, whenever even a death takes place, now today it's like more than a torture, we can say, but then a death takes place also, immediately they will not hand over the body, and you have different formalities, this, that have to be done, right? So in those times it was not like that. Whenever a death used to take place, immediately the person used to die somewhere, and maybe after maybe 2 or 3 days later, we didn't have telephones, this and that, so they used to write letters, or maybe how, through people coming and telling. So by the time the news reaches a person, there used to be a delay. How many days delay? Some used to say 2 days, no, 2 days back he died. Some used to say, no, 5 days back he died. So there used to be no clarity. So we don't know the day when a particular person has died. If you don't know the day, there is a concept, again, there is a confusion with the tithi and all that, right? So then that's where the tradition of Shraddha goes in. When should I perform the Shraddha? I want to perform the Shraddha Karma, but when should I do it? I do not know the date, therefore I don't know the tithi and all that. So now I need a proper guidance. So during all such situations, still the Puranas, like the Varaha Purana, give us an option that these are the days that have been mentioned. Now you must not have any excuse for not doing the Shraddha Karma. This is one reason. Second is, this itself shows the importance of performing the Shraddha Karma rituals. Even though the dates are not known and all that, but still if they are giving you so many options, that itself shows that this karma is very, very, very important. It has to be performed at any cost. That is the reason why so many options have been given to us. So therefore, Shraddha should be done, or he should take bath in a holy river, and then the Tarpanam has to be done to the ancestors. Now, who should perform the Shraddha? That is also being told. For this, Markandeya, he tells Gaurmukha that Brahmins were well versed in the Vedas, or any of the, now if a particular person, he does not have a son or so, or he does not have anyone who can do Shraddha rituals, and who can do it, who are the relatives who can do it, that is a few people should not do, that has been mentioned here. Maternal nephew, I'm just telling you this, you can note it down. Grandson, that is daughter's son, he should not do it. Father-in-law, son-in-law, and maternal uncle. So maybe you can see a few relations from the maternal side should not be done, because their gotra is completely different. So that is the reason why they should not do the Shraddha Karma at all. And also again, father-in-law, son's father-in-law will also have a different gotra, right? Therefore he should not do. And also the son-in-law, he will also have a different gotra, he should also not do. So people having the same gotra, they are usually supposed to do the Shraddha Karma. But there is an exception to this. To some extent, you have this, the reference that the Garuda Purana tells. When we look at that, we look at that later. Or in general, in some other books also, they say that if nobody is willing to do, or we do not find people of the same gotra who do the rituals and so on. We must try our best. If that is not done, then the son-in-law or anyone, even daughter for that matter, they should also do the Shraddha Karma. But you can tell your priest also to do, no problem at all. The priest also must do it, but the Shraddha should not be avoided at any cost, because it leads to problems to the future generations. This is what is believed. Now, Brahmins have to be invited to a Shraddha, right? We must always offer food to the Brahmins, because Brahmins are considered as our ancestors only. Now, the Brahmin who comes to our house, he should not be wicked. He should not be maybe who works as a priest for his livelihood. Now, this has been mentioned here. But then in today's times, all the priests who come to our houses for doing any kind of rituals, be it a puja or maybe Shraddha, whatever it is, they are all priests, they are all full-time priests, they earn their livelihood only through this. So all this, though it has been mentioned in the Puranas, we must take it a bit lightly only, because now you cannot go in search of a person who does things freely, right? Today's times, even water also is very rare where you get it freely. Hardly few places you get water, right? Free water. Only maybe you have to go and purchase a Bisleri bottle or a 10 rupees bottle, even you are at a railway station or any shop you go, hotels or wherever. Even in restaurants also, I don't know how it is in your places, but at least in Mumbai I have seen that you go to restaurant, hotels, they are nowadays, they just, I'm talking about maybe in, I don't know about very small restaurants, but then normal restaurants is when you go there, they will just keep an empty glass in front of you, and at that time the waiter comes and asks, what should I give? Should I give normal water or should I give the bottled water? Like, there is no logic in this at all, right? And if you get the bottled water, the cost of the bottle is added. In some restaurants, they are not having this option at all. Directly, he just keeps 2 empty glasses and he will keep a bottle of water, and you have to pay for the bottled water also. So this is how times have changed today. Or maybe you go to this big restaurants also, restaurants or hotels like McDonald's, this and that, or you go to a mall. Okay, let's take a good example. That's a mall. Most of us, we go, right? In the mall, you see, you cannot get water at all. Apart from, you have maybe a drinking water booth or something, I don't know. But in most of the shops that you go, especially the food court and other places, none of the places, at least I have not seen, where there is water that is freely available. I have not seen even water that is kept in bottles. Maybe it would be very rare. Has anyone come across that? Like, this is what is my observation. You go to McDonald's or something.
Yeah, really, we can buy separately only.
Right? You have to come outside and you have to buy water.
Yeah.
So, most of the places. So the point that I'm trying to tell here is, even for water also, we feel very happy, we feel very proud. Okay, I've gone to a mall, I've gone to a big place. It's not wrong in going.
Go to the airport.
Airports also, huh?
The airport.
Yeah. But
And to see off anybody. And you want to drink water. You can't find water, and then you will find a small bottle of water for 65
rupees, correct. So, even in airport, so places like this, when you have a big shopping mall, or like she gave an example of airports.
The hospital, they are giving them.
Hospitals.
The hospital.
Yeah. So very few places where even water also in today's times, the point I'm trying to say is, water also in today's times is not available freely. Then how can we expect a Brahmin coming to our house doing it free of cost, right? Or even we also, we as human beings also today, we don't like anything to be free of cost, right? And whatever we say, it is human mentality, anything free of cost, people, we also, including you and me, we don't have value for it much. Whereas whenever we pay something, even you give 10 rupees to someone, I have given 10 rupees, right? So therefore that makes value. So this, though it has been mentioned in the Varaha Purana that the priests, they should not, one who is living a livelihood out of this, he should not be called for a Shraddha. What we can consider is, or maybe with that motive it has been mentioned that maybe he should not be only money minded. Now whenever a priest comes to our house, maybe he chants all the mantras, everything, he also demands a dakshina from you, and we also pay that very happily. But then if the person does all the rituals very nicely, he chants all the mantras, he maybe comes on time, and we are very much satisfied, then we don't feel even if we give them dakshina, right? Maybe they have good food, they enjoy, they appreciate, the food was very good, all the arrangements were good, they are very happy, and then whatever dakshina has been told, they take and they go away. We also feel satisfied. Oh, person has come, he did everything very nicely, I am also happy, so we are also very happily, we pay the dakshina. Whereas a person comes, okay, first of all he comes late, and then halfway he does this, or maybe he rushes us, give that. You would have seen a few priests who do this. Beforehand itself, they will tell you a list of items, we would have kept everything ready. But in spite of that, at the last minute, he wants this, he wants that. No, I had told you we didn't keep this, but maybe he wants more quantity. Most of them, they do that, right? So that's where we don't like, and that too very quickly he chants half of the mantras, he doesn't know, he chants everything in a shortcut way, he goes away. We can easily make out, but then you can't say anything, you have to pay the dakshina. So at that time we don't feel satisfied, and from next time I'm not going to call this priest, we are going to find someone else. We say this, right? So paying dakshina here, the concept is not whether a person, now obviously everyone is coming to get a livelihood only, but the way the person does, the way of doing the rituals, that is very very important. The person should not be money minded. That is what is the conclusion. So such a brahmana should be called to our house for performing the shraddha. Then the Brahmin first, whenever he comes, how we must invite the Brahmins. Invitation is, you should inform all the Brahmins one day in advance. Though now today's times we have to book them well in advance because they are very busy, but still one day before you must call them, you must remind them and invite them, please come. And uninvitedly, no Brahmin should come, and we should also not, like from our side, we should always invite Brahmins. There should be no one that they should be uninvited. Okay, 10 days back I had given you a call, okay, there is a shraddha of my father, you please come. It's not like that, right? We must, with due respect, we must invite them again, and they should be treated, also wash their feet and whatever they want, maybe for cleaning the mouth, or today's times you offer them breakfast, this, that and everything. So they should be taken care of very well, because the invited Brahmins, they should also be fed after the rituals have been completed. They are the form of our ancestors, so they should be regarded and respected accordingly. Now with regards to the number of Brahmins that come to one's house, it depends as per family traditions that is there. So the numbers surely differ. But it is said that as per the Varaha Purana, it is mentioned that the scriptures, they have strictly struck it to odd numbers. It should be 1, 3, 5 and so on. And but if it so happens that you find difficult to invite, then you can invite for only one Brahmana, and while performing the shraddhas, it is very very important that all the Brahmins, they should have their food facing the east direction. That has been mentioned in the Varaha Purana. Again, now with this concept of directions, we must try our level best. But then in today's times now, it depends on in which room you do the shraddha, what is the direction. Now if you have kept a sofa or something there, we don't remove all the furniture. You cannot maybe remove all the furniture, say no, east facing only they must sit. So that all such things, we must take this again, as I said, as per our convenience, few things can be done. So the main motive is we must offer food. If possible, you do it, you ensure that the priests are facing the east direction and eating it. But then we cannot do anything if our houses are structured in that way, right? Now everyone's houses, if they have to face east and sit, how far it would be possible, that we don't know. So therefore all this, you can, for your information, you can note it down. Then no, I cannot follow this, what will happen, will the Lord come and punish me, will my ancestors come and trouble me? Don't get into all this. To some extent we must try our level best to follow, but practically if it is not possible, that is why nobody is going to come and punish you. Next is there are different types of shraddhas also that have to be performed. Different types have been mentioned, and the person who performs the shraddha, he must always sit on the mat of kushagrass. He usually sit on mats only, and he must offer ardhya. So the entire process of a shraddha has been mentioned, that is til, black til, rice, the pindadanam that we do using cooked rice, all that has been mentioned. Then we also have sandalwood, incense sticks, tulsi patram, all that has to be kept ready. And different rituals of pindadana have also been mentioned. We look at that and then we will stop for today. Now pindadanam is in the name of all our mates, that is name of our ancestors. We make a ball type of a shape using sesame seeds, that is till seeds and water, and it is offered on the kusha grass. First it should face south direction. Now mostly you can note this, when the priest comes to your house, you can see. Now there might be a few differences in the directions, because in the Varaha Purana it has been mentioned this way. In some other Puranas, some other scriptures, there might be a difference in the directions. So therefore it's not that everyone follows only one book, right? So therefore there can be a difference of opinion that is there in the different practices that we follow. So usually the pinda has to be kept on the kusha grass. which is first kept facing south in the name of one's dead father, then one's grandfather, other ancestors, and so on. So this is a very common practice that most of us do. That is first father, grandfather, great grandfather. That's how the names are chanted, and with this the Shraddha Karma is ended. Now the next session of Varaha Purana talks about the manifestation of various deities. What are the various deities and gods that we worship? How are they born? Like Agni, Durga, Kubera, Vayu, Yama, and so on. So today time is up. We will stop. We will look at all this in the next session next week. Okay.